Welcome everybody, my name is Paul Teague and this presentation is called 10 Amazing Tools for Indie Authors. Build your author platform and get more writing done. Now just to give you a brief introduction about me, I'm a fiction and non-fiction author. What you can see on the screen right now is my fiction books. So fiction wise, I've written 2 trilogies. The first trilogy is The Secret Bunker and the second trilogy is The Grid. I also write geeky non-fiction, and by geeky I mean what I hope to do is to try and make geeky stuff much simpler. So I've written 6 web guides, as you can see on the screen there: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, email marketing, WordPress, webinars. 2 of those books, the best-selling books, are available in paperback form. So WordPress and Facebook you can also get in as a paperback. And then just squeezed in that image there on the right-hand side is how to build your author platform, which is a 500 plus page book, which pulls a lot of the content in those guides together, but gives it a slant for authors. This is what's coming up in the presentation today. I'm not going to run through that bit by bit because hopefully you've already seen that on the web page. But this is very much a how-to tips and tools presentation. I just want to give you lots of things that I use day to day that I find really useful. And as I talk to authors at local events and UK-based events, I find that many people don't know about them, and they're so good and they're free, many of these. It's really good to have these in your repertoire, in your toolkit. So I'll be going through those, and also I've added a few bonus tips right at the end of the presentation which I haven't even mentioned yet in the preview for this presentation. So let's get started straight away. How to build an SEO friendly author website with no tech required. This appears to be one of the biggest headaches for new authors, in that they kind of know they've got to be on social media, they know that they really ought to have a website, but when it comes to actually doing it, it's just one more problem. And let's face it, as authors, often the biggest challenge for us is sitting down and getting that book written in the first place. It's enough already without having to add a website to that. So what I wanted to do on today's presentation is to just give you some context with this. And if you're in the really early days of your author career, I just want to give you some solutions to this to help you get found in the search engines. I think we all know nowadays that if we put our name in and maybe the word author into Google, we really want to be popping up in those search engine results. Now on the left hand side of the screen here, you can see the results that I get when I put Paul Teague author into Google. And in the number 1 position there we've got Goodreads. Goodreads is free, so if you set up an author platform or an author page on Goodreads, you're going to do pretty well in the search engine straight away. The second link that comes up in the search results there is my Amazon author page. The third link we'll ignore because that's a blog post, and because I'm a little bit geeky about things, I can get my blogs high in the search engines. Most people will struggle with that when they've got new websites. And then I want you to look at that third result, the one that's got the number 3 next to it. That is an about the author site, and that's the resource that I'm going to show you today. And just to mention before we move on to that, if you look at the results 4 and 5 there, our Facebook author page and Twitter page also come up in the search engine results. So what I'm showing you with this example is that actually if you don't have a website at all, we've got 5 website results in there that are completely free and don't involve any geekery at all. So on the next slide, this is the resource that I want to make you aware of. It's called About the Author, and you can see the web address for it, abouttheauthor.co.uk, at the bottom of the slide. Now this is a site which is offered by a business. It's operated by a chap called Richard McMunn, who I interviewed on my podcast. Richard's a prolific self-published author. He's done some amazing things online. But he just realised that this would be a great resource for authors because it saves them having to make a website. Now, what I realised, I just set this up because I like to test things and see what they're like. What surprised me as I began to build my author presence online was what brilliant search engine rankings that free site gave me. It's just below my own blog website. And as I say, don't take my own blog website as a typical example because most people won't be able to get their author site that high up in the search engines. So About the Author gives you some really good SEO power as an author, but you don't actually have to sit there and make a website or pay for a website to get a page. This is what my page looks like, and About the Author basically gives you an about the author page, but on that page you can put your author profile, you can put your mugshot, as you can see I've got just there. It allows you to add all of your books, not just one book, so it pulls in the book details and will allow you to put all your book listings on that page. I've added on my page a YouTube video, so I've got a book trailer for my Secret Bunker trilogy. It's allowed me to put that in. It also allows you to create testimonial areas, and these are all nicely boxed and presented on the screen for you. And you can just cut and paste testimonials or feedback that you've had on your Amazon page. You can put it on this page too. So it's extremely nice. It also allows you, by the way, to sell from that page too. You can have book links so that you can sell directly from that page. So if you're really early on in your author career and you're thinking, oh blimey, I've got to make a website, how am I going to do this and how am I going to afford it? What I would recommend to you is just get an about the author page set up, and frankly, I've got one and I benefit from it in the search engines anyway, even though I can make websites. So I wouldn't be without mine. I think it's a great thing. Now, what we need to be clear of is that this really isn't a permanent solution. If you're serious about your author career, you really do need to get your own website, your own blog presence that you own and control, because ultimately this about the author page is building somebody else's business. Now, you've seen what it does in the search engines. That's very, very powerful for a new author. So it's a great tool to use, but long term, I would like you to still aspire at some point when the money's rolling in from your latest book, I'd like you to get your own author website built. But this is a great alternative on day one of your author career, just to get things going and get some momentum up. So that's abouttheauthor.co.uk. This is my author platform. This is an example of my author site, and this is what I would like you to build, a proper site that you own. And generally I'd recommend that on WordPress, but we're not going to go into too much detail about that today because I'm very keen to rattle through all of these resources that I want to share with you. Okay, so moving on to point 2, how to sell your books directly from your website with no VAT worries. Now I just want to flag up, for the usual legal reasons, I'm not an accountant and this is not financial advice. This is just what I've pieced together from watching videos, reading articles and just listening to other people speak about this topic. Now VAT MOS is something that was introduced quite a while ago now, but what it meant to us, without getting into all the details, was that those of us who were selling digital products directly online, it was going to cause problems for us because we had to pay, or we had to take care of VAT in whichever European country people were buying our products in. Now, the minute I took one look at it, I thought, well, there's no way I'm doing that. I'm not handling that. But if you sell on Drafted Digital, if you sell on Amazon, there are some sites that deal with that for you. So when you sell your Kindle books on Amazon, you don't have to worry about the VAT because Amazon will handle all of that for you. So a lot of authors like to do what we call going wide, which means that we don't put our whole business into Amazon just in case things change. If they change the terms and conditions and we suddenly don't like them, if we've built our whole business in Amazon, that leaves us extremely vulnerable. So it's really quite good practice in the long term as an author to have different channels to sell your books. And when you've got your own website, a great thing to do there is to sell the books, the Mobi files, the EPUB files, and maybe even the PDFs on your blog or website. But the VAT MOS rules put an end to that because we had to handle all the VAT. Now, you don't want to be getting involved in all of that. It's a real pain. So the best guide I found to this VAT MOS issue, if you want a Reader's Digest version of the issue, then I've put a link on the screen just there. If you go to that link, it's a shortened link just to make it simpler for you to find. Do have a look at that because that'll tell you what it was all about. The great thing is, since VAT MOS was introduced, many sales platforms have now adapted to this, meaning that we can once again sell digital products online without getting involved in all the VAT. We can let the websites or the platforms handle the VAT for us. We can just get on with writing books and hopefully making some sales from our sites. So let's take a look at my favourite one, which is Gumroad.com. Gumroad.com, and you can see the URL on the screen there. Gumroad allows me to sell e-versions directly from my website or your blog, whatever you've got. It handles all the VAT for me. I don't have to do the returns for that because it counts as something slightly different in VAT MOS terms, and it's very easy to use. It's my favourite one. There were a number of sites that came forward after the VAT MOS rules were introduced, and this is my favourite because I think it's so easy. And I think it's a great one to teach because it's what I call cut and paste simple. There's no geekery involved here. It's pretty straightforward stuff in terms of using the web. So this is what it looks like. It basically gives you a very simple buy now button. And in the help section in Gumroad, this is where they make us all breathe a sigh of relief, and they tell us that as far as the VAT's concerned, you don't need to worry. They'll deal with it. All you've got to do is sell stuff, which is absolutely fabulous. So Gumroad is a really big recommendation from me. And if you want to see what it looks like, let's take a look at that on the screen. This is how I sell my book. So that's a screenshot on the left hand side there of how I sell my books. And what you get basically is little buttons that Gumroad generates for you. And in this case, I'm not sure why I'm not selling the EPUB version. I have to remind myself of that. I could probably do with selling the EPUB version too, but I've got the Mobi and the PDF version on that page. And all a customer would do if they wanted to buy direct from the author rather than going to Amazon, and many people do, they would just click on those buttons which are on my website, and that would then open up the page on the right hand side there. And very easily I've been able to add a nice 3D book image. And if the customer wanted to buy that, they would just click, I want this. They would go through a payment processor, and then they would get their digital product delivered to them directly. It's a very cool system. It's very easy to use, and I'm a big fan of Gumroad. It's the one that I've settled on that I think that I like the best. Now, there are other platforms available. Let me just mention a couple of them too. I use ClickBank and have actually used ClickBank since I think it's about 2008 when I started selling digital products on ClickBank. ClickBank, incidentally, has always managed the VAT, which is why I started using it when I was selling digital training products a couple of years ago. But they also sell eBooks in PDF format. You wouldn't sell a lot of them through ClickBank's marketplace, but they do handle the sales and the VAT on that too. Now, I currently use it. I prefer to use Gumroad for my digital books. I prefer the delivery system in Gumroad, but I actually am using ClickBank still for online digital training, and also it allows you to recruit affiliates. It also means that for my digital training, for instance, I can have the training on my site rather than going to a site like Udemy or Teachable, which is what I prefer. Now, ClickBank will handle your sales, your refunds, your VAT hassles, and I've really used this very heavily over the years. So again, it's a great payment processor to use. A couple of others to mention, payhip.com. Didn't get on with that as well as I did with Gumroad, but it is another opportunity for you. And Paddle. Now, with Paddle, you have to take care that you get the right link. So it has a sort of vendors and a buyers link, and it's not a very neat link. I don't think it's always immediately obvious when you go to paddle.com where you need to head for. So if you do want to look at paddle.com as a vendor, as a seller of digital products, then take a look at that long link on the page just there. That's the one to go to if you want to register for that and try it out. So that's VAT MOS. Let's move on to GeoLinking now. How to geolink your books to create a frictionless buying experience around the world. Now, I'm not going to over geek you here, but what I see many people doing on social media is sharing book links from Amazon. But what they're sharing on Twitter and Facebook is amazon.co.uk links to their books. If you click that link, if you're living in the States or if you're living in Spain or Germany, what Amazon will do is actually direct you or redirect you to the Amazon.com site or the German Amazon site or the Spanish Amazon site. And if you try to buy in a different country from an Amazon.co.uk link, Amazon will simply say to you, you need to go to your own country's Amazon site. It will actually block you from buying on amazon.co.uk. Now, we need to create, if we're selling books, a frictionless buying experience around the world. You know what it's like when you're on the web. If you reach a problem, if you're clicking away there and something suddenly becomes difficult or a problem, or you've got to go somewhere else and find a different site, you know that you're going to be out of there in a couple of seconds. And that's what I mean by a frictionless buying experience. We want to make buying our books really easy for people when they find us online. And if you put roadblocks in there, like sending USA and German customers to a UK site, and then you make them navigate back to their own Amazon site, and then they've got to find your book, well, frankly, you're probably going to lose the sale. GeoLinking helps us around that, because what GeoLinking does is it allows us to share a single link, and then very cleverly, depending on where people are in the world, it will then take them to your book page on their local site, wherever they are in the world. Now, this is very, very clever stuff, and I've been using this for some time. And there are other products available, by the way. This is just the one I've settled on and I use, but I know that other people use different products. I use booklinker.net. I've got on very well with it for well over a year now. And it very simply just allows you to cut and paste into the panel on the screen. You cut and paste your Amazon URL, or incidentally, your author page. You just cut and paste it into there, click the Create Universal Link button, and it creates you a lovely link that you can then share confidently on social media, knowing that it will redirect people wherever they are in the world to their local Amazon site. Now, the other great thing about this is it also gives you tracking data, so you know how many people have clicked that link, and also, this is really, really clever, you'll see this on the next slide, it also lets you know which countries they're in. How amazing is that? What a marvellous age that we live in. So I really recommend using these geolinks if you use social media, because your customers will be all over the world, and you'll be actually surprised at where your customers are. Let me just move to the next slide and give you a taster for this. This is the geolink data for my LinkedIn for Business guide. Now, on that screen, on the section that I've highlighted next to the number 1, that is the short handy sharing URL that I can create for my LinkedIn book. So rather than getting a really long Amazon link, immediately we're tidying these links up and making them look a lot nicer in social media. Next to figure 2, you can see how many clicks that link has got. So at the moment it's got 1,380 at the time I took that screenshot. So we get data on how many people are clicking the links. Now, this is where you get some really, really wonderful information. And you'll see there, next to figure 3, that actually, even though I'm based in the UK, the majority of my audience are in the USA. It's actually where I make most book sales, and it's where the majority of my audience are on social media. Now, you might think that everybody's in the UK if you're UK based, but in actual fact, this takes the finger in the wind out of all of this. There's no denying what the stats say, and you can see that I've got European customers there. I mean, goodness, we've even got people clicking my links in Japan. Now, it's not a lot, but this gives us a really good breakdown of where we are and who's clicking on us within the world. Now, the other reason why I use this is at the moment, I just have an Amazon author page on Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk. But if, for instance, my click data was telling me that for whatever reason I was really big in Germany, then the hint to me there would be, Paul, it's time to get yourself an Amazon author page on the German Amazon site, because you've got a lot of customers there and you need to be providing that service for them. Now, the other thing about this is it also gives you what I call non-spammy URLs or web links. We've all seen these massive, great web links with loads of data on them. I mean, no one wants to click those because no one has a clue where they're going to take you. So it's much nicer to share clean, tidy links just like this. The other thing, and this is a little bit of a ninja technique, by the way, is that if you use Amazon Associates links so that you take commissions if people click on your books and then go to buy other items on Amazon, this is a bit of a ninja technique, then you could also use your Amazon affiliate links in this geolinker. So not only hopefully you'll be selling your own books, you'll also be able to take affiliate commissions if those customers go on to buy a telly or something else on Amazon after they've bought your book. Now, this is clearly quite a complex topic, so I just want to introduce you to it today, but I have created a video tutorial and a web guide to this on my blog. That's probably the best place to start if you take a look at that link at the bottom of the page. Loads of information on there, and I show you exactly how it works in practice. Let's move on to time management then. We've got a lot to cover in the presentation today. I'm really big on time management, and as a writer I think we've really got to be right on top of our time management. If we don't manage our time, the writing doesn't get done and we're not going to get the next book out. And as indie authors, we need to be constantly chugging those books out one by one by one. Now, I'll just give you a quick overview of how I manage my time day to day. On the left hand side of the screen, then actually right to my left, just over here in my study, I don't think you can probably see it on the camera, is my whiteboard. And one of the things that I've got used to doing, I've been doing this for a couple of years now, is I plan my quarterly goals out on a whiteboard. And I'm a big fan of what Robin Sharma says. The things that get scheduled are the things that get done. You know, we can't hit a dot in the distance if we don't set the dot in the distance first. We need to know where we're heading if we're going to hit our targets. So I set quarterly goals, and those goals are a mixture of writing goals, marketing goals, and I also put some personal fun stuff in there for me too, because if we're working all the time and writing all the time, we need to have something to look forward to. So I think it's important also to put personal fun goals in there too. So I have quarterly goals, and then on a weekly basis, I transfer my goals to a weekly planner. And that way, rather than me being busy and finding things to do, at the beginning of each week, I'm always focusing on my quarterly goals. I'm always saying, what do I need to be focusing on this week to be putting green ticks on that list on the whiteboard. And then I can filter those goals over to my weekly planning sheet. Now, I still have a day job. I work with local businesses, and I schedule that around my fixed writing days. You've really got to really work hard on scheduling your time. Now that's by the by. That's how I time manage, but I also use a couple of other tools and techniques as well, and I'm going to show you some great sites that you can use to get your time management under control as well. Now, I'm not going to show you this or demonstrate this in the presentation. I do want to mention it though, because I just find it so useful. The reason being that this is a paid for tool, and I'm supposed to be showing you free stuff on this presentation today. So the tool that I absolutely love, and this is how I do my writing, is I use something called the Results Machine. I bought a version of it called the Results Machine, but in actual fact it's called the Action Machine. Now if you want to get hold of a copy, it's called the Action Machine. And I love this, and this adapts something called the Pomodoro technique, which is also something that I advise you to check out if you're an author, which is about compartmentalizing and focusing in short bursts. Now I personally find the bursts recommended in the Pomodoro technique a little bit short. I have got a slightly longer attention span than that, so I actually work in bursts of 1 hour and 90 minutes, and that suits me personally, but the principle of the Pomodoro technique is the same. And I use the Results Machine every time I'm writing to do that. And effectively what I do is I have bursts of super focused writing. I unplug the phone, the internet goes off, and that's all I do. I write, and that helps me to get the writing done. Incidentally, while we're getting fancy with all the softwares and things like that, don't forget that you can also use some more basic techniques. And I have this on my study door. The family know that I'm not to be disturbed unless the building's on fire. When that is clicked to do not disturb, it's just a sign that I got from Staples, and it's on my office door. And everybody in the house knows that if that's up, I really don't want to be disturbed. So those are some sort of simple techniques that I use, but I'm here to give you some practical tips that you could use in your own business. So if you really struggle with the focus, if you really need to get the writing done, you've got to hit your word count every time, then here are 2 free tools that you can use. Focalfilter.com allows you to do exactly what it says on the screen there. You can block distracting websites. It's a pretty blunt tool to get the job done. All you do is you download the software and you give it a list of sites, and let's face it, that's usually going to be Facebook and Twitter, and it might be LinkedIn or YouTube, you know, things that distract you all the time. You give it a list of sites and it will not let you look at those sites for a time period that you determine. So if you want to write for 30 minutes and you've got a site list there, you know that Facebook's always calling you when you're trying to write, then you tell it to block Facebook and it will block it for 30 minutes and it won't let you in until you've done your 30-minute stint. So it works with all the browsers, all the key browsers. And actually, when I teach this to local businesses, many people look at this and say they're going to use this with their kids to help them get their homework done, which is very, very interesting. So you might want to use it with the kids as well. This is another one. This is a really good site to use if you really are struggling to get your word count up. It's called writersblock.io. You can see the link on the screen just there, writersblock.io, and this just blocks your whole computer, if you want it to, until you've done your words. So if your word count is 1,000 words, you can see the preview on the screen just here. If that's your word count, 1,000 words, you can tell this software, do not let me do anything else until my 1,000 words are written, and it won't. You're locked until you've done your 1,000 words. So, I mean, that's pretty drastic, isn't it? You've got it really bad if you need a software like this. But it's a free tool. Just dive in, get it downloaded, and if you really are struggling or if you're up against a deadline, a really, really useful free tool. That's Writer's Block, that one. Okay, let's talk about smarter social media sharing now. And I want to talk to you about ugly web links. I've already touched on this when we were talking about the GeoLinker, which creates lovely, tidy links for us. But we could take that a step further. If you were going to share, or if I were going to share on social media, the raw link that Amazon gives me for my secret bunker, I beg your pardon, my grid book, my first grid book, then if I just cut and pasted what was in my browser, that's what I would get. That is one ugly link. It's not a good link at all. Incidentally, when you do share your links, if you are going to share links like that, you actually don't need any more information than that. You should not put the other information that comes after that, beginning with that ref. That's just gobbledygook that allows Amazon to track. So you should never share links with that additional information in. You should always stop it at the bit where it says ref, because that's just bump nonsense. We don't need it when we're sharing. However, I want to do something better than that. You see, I don't think these look professional. I think they can look spammy if they're too long. People aren't really sure what they're clicking on. Conventional wisdom is that people tend to use bit.ly, goo.goo, or tinyurl.com, which has been around for years and years now and is still going strong. But I also think that they could look spammy. If I were going to send you to some dodgy site, I'd use bit.ly for it. Not that I'm going to, but bit.ly is a great way of covering evil sites. So I don't think that even those link shorteners are particularly good ones either. And I know that some sites actually are very wary of people sharing content using bit.ly.com because so many spammers use it. So when I share links online, I do want them to look professional. I don't want them to look spammy. And if I can get click data on them as well, that's really handy stuff to have, because I want to know if I'm sharing stuff, I want to know how many people are clicking on it, because if no one's clicking on it, then clearly I need to change my messages online, or I need to try something new because no one's interested in what I'm doing. So I want to know how many people click when I share links online. Now, this is a tip, I'm afraid, just for people with self-hosted WordPress blogs. So you need to have a WordPress blog to use this. And what I've used, and I've used this for years now, is a free WordPress plugin called Pretty Link. Pretty Link, as you can see on the site just there, Pretty Link. Now, I actually have upgraded, so I pay for Pretty Link because I love it so much and I get all the extra functionality. But you absolutely do not need to pay to get a lot of great usage out of Pretty Link. Just download it, add it to your WordPress site and see how it works. So if I were going to share a site, then I would cut and paste that horrible vile link into Pretty Link, and then it would tidy it up into a branded and shortened link. So rather than me having to use a third-party service to do that, which would normally be bit.ly.com, I can actually brand mine with my author name, paulteague.com/thegrid1. And what Pretty Link does is it creates what's called a redirect. So when I share that paulteague.com/thegrid1 link on social media or wherever I share it, people will click on it and it will automatically redirect them to my grid page on Amazon. Now, I think those branded links are more trustworthy, and I think they're more credible, and they help to get your word out there, your brand out there online, which is a great thing to do as an author. Now, if you take a look, this is inside my WordPress blog. For every link that we share, we get detailed data for it. You can see that on the screen. It's highlighted in red there. So on the left hand side, that is the total number of clicks that link has had, and on the right hand side, that is the total number of unique clicks that link has had. Now, a unique click means, for instance, if I'd clicked on that link 10 times, then it would be 10 links, 10 clicks, I beg your pardon, and it would be one unique link in that one person had clicked 10 times. So my total number of clicks is 185. My unique clicks is 173. So that's great data, because if you send that link out, as say you created 2 links, one for Facebook, one for Twitter, then you get instant data back about which one was giving you more clicks. So you'd know which was working better for you. So I use these all the time, and you can use them in slightly more advanced ways too. Because when I do my web guides on Kindle, what I've learned to do is I've learned to use these links in Kindle. So if a link changes or I need to update it, rather than having to go to my raw file and change all the links and then re-upload it and get it reapproved, all I do is change the pretty link. I don't have to touch my book at all. So it's quite a handy little technique. It's quite advanced that. You need to be quite advanced with your self-publishing. But it will save you messing around with your books if links change or you need to update links. Just change the pretty link in your WordPress console. Now, this is just a taster. I'm just letting you know about these tools today. I've produced for you a video tutorial and a web guide at that link. That will take you over to my blog, and I'll give you chapter and verse on how to use pretty link. I'm a big fan and I've used it for a couple of years now. Also, while we're talking about smarter sharing, let's talk about Buffer. Buffer is a great tool. You can use it for free. You can add several social media channels to it for free, but it will only let you schedule up to 10 updates. Now, I do pay for Buffer because I just find it so useful, but what Buffer allows you to do is to schedule social media posts in advance at predetermined times. And it can appear like you're everywhere on social media with very little effort. Now, I do just want to mention to you when I'm talking about Buffer, this bit. Social media does need a personal touch. You can't automate your social media. You should use Buffer as a time management tool, not as an alternative to doing proper social media and building relationships on social media. But if you're on a deadline, if you're trying to write a book within a short amount of time, yet you're mindful that you need to keep marketing, you need to keep running things on social media, Buffer is a way of just automating that while you're busy and while you've got your head down. Big fan of Buffer, used it for a couple of years. So these are the features that you get with the 10 social profiles, the freebie, the free plan, the individual plan as Buffer calls it. Or we could also get the awesome plan. This is the one I use, and it's $102 a year. So that's what, probably it's no more than £70 a year. I get massive value out of it, and I can add several profiles. It works extremely well for me. This is just a quick look at what it looks like in Buffer. So you can see next to figure 1 there, I've got 4 social media profiles that I manage in Buffer. In actual fact, I should add my Pinterest profile to that because it also manages Pinterest, and I should also use my Google Plus profile on that because it also manages business pages, not personal profiles at the moment for Google Plus. You can see next to figure 2 all of my scheduled posts. Now I'm doing a weekly podcast. I'm finding it brilliant to schedule the reminders about the podcast because clearly I've got to do ongoing marketing with the podcast. Now, I always add to my scheduled posts live tweets and responses, and I respond to people. But what this does is it ticks away in the background, and it means that however busy I am, if I'm working with businesses locally or I'm writing, it means that I can be sure, it's my bottom line of social media, I know I'm always posting something, however busy or distracted I am. But I do always supplement it with real person and real life stuff. The thing I love about Buffer is that what I tend to do is I schedule lots of content in there, and then for each channel I click that shuffle button next to digit 3 there, and what it does is it pre-schedules stuff, mixes it all up. So if you were following me on all my social media channels, it would look like I'm all over the place at all times of day, but I'm not. I've just got it scheduled in Buffer, and I schedule it a week or several weeks in advance sometimes. And in this case, you can see that I've developed quite a queue here. I've obviously seen a lot of interesting content, and I've just queued lots of content on that particular channel, which is my Twitter channel. Now, that isn't going to be the only stuff I post, but on a pre-appointed schedule that I've created on Twitter, I think I have 2 posts per day come from Buffer, and then I always supplement it with real life and organic stuff. But I got 45 pieces of content there in the queue ready to roll. So that takes a lot of pressure off me if I'm busy, but I still know that I need to be posting on social media. So that's Buffer at buffer.com. Okay, moving on then. Embarrassing errors and giving your editors a head start. Now, you know, and I know, that however many times I check my work, however many times my editor checks my work, there are probably always going to be 1 or 2 errors in there. And you know what it's like. You're only going to spot those when you're reading your book a year later, when it's been published for a year. You know how it is. However hard we try, we always miss something. And this is why I love Grammarly, because Grammarly is like having Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, reading your script. It will pick up absolutely everything that humans miss. It's great for everyday use too, not just for your writing. Now, what I would say is this is not a word spell check replacement. It does the same as that and much, much more. So don't dismiss this thinking, oh, I got spell check, I don't need this. Grammarly gives you much more information. Now, once again, I pay for Grammarly because I love it so much and I use it so heavily, but you do not need to pay for it. All of these tools that I'm showing you today, they all have free basic options, and you don't need to pay. You seriously don't need to pay. They're very functional at the free level. I do pay for it because I love it and I use it a lot. It ties in and works beautifully with Microsoft Word as well, and it will find all sorts of writing issues for you. Now, this is just a quick overview about what it does. This is there. There's no point me repeating it because they express it perfectly well on their website. So there's lots and lots of great things. And this is a comparison of the free and the premium account. So I've got a premium account, but look, you do not need the premium account. The free account gives you, frankly, everything you need for day-to-day checking of your manuscript. So what I tend to do is by the time it goes to my proofreader, I have been through a couple of times with Grammarly right through the manuscript, just checking for those last things, and then the proofreader will get it, and I'll even give it a run through in Grammarly after the proofreader's had it, just to give it that last check before I publish it to Live, publish it to Kindle or CreateSpace. Now, one of the things that I would say, and actually Grammarly isn't the only one, I'm only recommending it here because it's my favourite tool. I use some other tools too, but I just want to get you started with this. What I would say to you is do not follow its advice 100%. Use it as a guide only. You've got to use your human common sense when you're using this tool. So this is an example of me cutting and pasting Act 1, Scene 1 of Macbeth into Grammarly. And Grammarly has found, Mr. Shakespeare, honestly, it's found 3 errors there. Now, that's fine, but we've got to use our common sense now and say, do I agree with Grammarly or not? And in actual fact, you would probably dismiss all of those 3 errors. And to dismiss them, it's pretty straightforward. You just click on the drop-down menu and you tell it to ignore it. You just tell it to ignore the error. I'm overruling this with my human judgment. So please do not blindly use any of these tools. They are no replacement for a proper human proofreader, but they will really just help you to catch those awful errors that you and your human proofreader just might have let slip through. But a great tool, and having used it very, very heavily now, I wouldn't be without it. This is another example of a tool that I wouldn't be without nowadays, and actually I teach this to local businesses, and when I'm working with local businesses, often their online skills can be sometimes very limited, and I've used this with all sorts of businesses. They all love it, and none of them have any trouble with it at all. This is Canva.com. Is going to help you to create eye-popping images. It'll set your social media accounts on fire. It'll look really good, and basically it takes the geek out of online images. You don't have to use Photoshop or any of these horrible tools that take years to learn. Just use Canva. I'm using it pretty well all the time now. It's free. Just to flag up though that you may pay $1 if you use their images. That's obviously just for copyright use, or if you use their premium fonts. But I've used it for free. I've never paid on Canva. I've been using it for some time now. It's drag and drop simple, which means there's no geeky stuff in it. And I use it regularly, as you'll see in a moment or two, to create ready-sized social media headers. I create Facebook ads with it. I create Kindle covers, or I have created Kindle covers with it. I do all sorts of things on Canva.com, and I could use Photoshop, but actually I'm using Canva more and more now in preference to Photoshop. It's a brilliant tool. Now, I haven't got time to talk you through it here, chapter and verse, because this is a short presentation, but I have created a video tutorial and web guide on my blog just there, and I'll give you chapter and verse on Canva. But in very simple terms, just to give you a feel for it, you can see here, this is my Canva area. That is a banner for my new Facebook author page. I create my Facebook header. This is for my Clixio.com page. This is my more established Facebook page where I put my social and digital marketing, but I've created Facebook ads on it here. You can look, there's another Facebook ad just there. I use it for all sorts of things. And you can see at the top that you can use it to create posters, Facebook covers, Facebook posts, blog graphics, A4 designs. There are so many things that you could do in Canva. It's absolutely amazing, and it's free. Now, once again, let me remind you, I've done a video tutorial for this. If you're interested in Canva and you just want a walkthrough guide showing you exactly how it works and what to do, just take a look at my online tutorial at paulteague.com/CNV. Okay, next slide. Next tool. MyeCoverMaker. How to create great 3D cover images for free and up your game when promoting your book. Now, most of us, when we get covers designed, we just get the flat Kindle cover. That's all we get. But with this MyeCoverMaker tool, you can turn those flat designs into amazing 3D graphics, and you can use it for free, which we all like when it's for free. And this is just an example of the designs that I've created here. And those were produced just using my Secret Bunker flat Kindle covers. I uploaded the flat cover into the software, chose the 3D image that I wanted, clicked process or whatever it says on the button, and that's what I got. I didn't do anything technical there at all. I uploaded an image, I told it what I wanted. I told the software what I wanted it to look like, press go, and that's what I got. Now I use this software to process every single book cover that I get, and I save them in a folder. And what it means is that rather than sharing the same old image time and time again, I get these beautiful 3D images in all sorts of different formats, and it means I can share different images. I get different sharing options. Now I combine that with a tool like Canva.com, and then we're really off, because Canva makes all my image manipulation easy. I could put all those covers on my social media banners and things like that. I could use them in my Facebook ads and my Twitter ads, and instantly using those two tools, we look like we're skilled graphic designers, but really we're not, and really I'm not. I have no skills as far as graphic design is concerned. So this is the site, MyeCoverMaker. Now it is free, you can use it free, but clearly you get more limited options when you use the free option. In the bad old days of the internet, this was really difficult. I used to have things called, I think they were called Photoshop actions that I bought off somebody at great expense, I hasten to add, and loaded them into Photoshop, and then I was technically enough to be able to use the Photoshop actions, but it was difficult stuff. You generally, in the bad old days of the internet, had to go to somebody who knew what they were doing to get these 3D covers done. Whereas with this software, we can get them done for free. But what I tend to do with this is I tend to upgrade a month at a time, and that's $14.95, about £10, something like that. I upgrade a month at a time, and then I put all my covers in. So when I get my trilogies done, I put all 3 covers in, and I create every single permutation that I can for all 3 covers. So I really get my £10 worth when I upgrade for a month. And I've done that also with my 6 web guides. 6 web guides for a tenner, and I've created about 20 options for each web guide. So I really feel like I'm getting my money's worth when I do upgrade. Now you can use it for free. I understand that people are on different budgets, but my advice to you would be use it strategically. When you've got your covers done, create loads of different versions, and then cancel your month subscription. And that's how I tend to do it. I think since I've been using it, I've maybe upgraded 3 times for 3 months, and I really hammer it when I do upgrade. You'll find it at MyeCoverMaker.com, and also, because I've got limited time on this presentation today, I've created a video tutorial and web guide at paulteague.com/3dpics. It's a lovely tool. I really recommend that you check it out. Moving on then, so we're looking at ways of sharing our content on social media and online and making it look really good. I'm a big fan of screenshots, and you might not know what screenshots are. When I achieve something, if I get my books, as I have done in some free promos, to the #1 slot, you don't want to miss an opportunity like that. That's great marketing collateral. You want to be sharing those images on social media because they provide social proof of what you've done as an author. And I habitually, and I've done this since my days of internet marketing when my products were getting onto marketplaces. They were getting in the top 10 and the top 5 and the top 3 of ClickBank marketplaces. It's really important that you share this information with people so that it helps to create your brand. So for instance, if I've got a promo on for one of my web guides, maybe it's a free promo and it's got to #1 in Amazon, I take a screenshot of that, I share it, and that then helps me in turn to get social proof of how well the book is doing, and then I shift more free copies when I'm doing a promo. And obviously it works for paid books as well. So anything that you achieve online, and I include in this, by the way, any contests where you're a runner-up or you were one of the finalists or something like that, screenshot absolutely everything that you do online where you've achieved something or where it helps to brand you as an expert or as an author. And you can see, I practice what I preach here. I screenshot absolutely everything. These are all my screenshots on Amazon where my books have had some decent ranking that I want to shout about. So how do we do that? Well, my favorite tool is called Snagit. And you can see how it's spelt on the screen there. And as with all these things, I'm recommending tools to you that I use pretty well every day. And I love them. They're great. So I pay for Snagit, but you don't have to pay for Snagit, and you don't have to pay for these tools. I'm showing you because Chrome, frankly, is the best web browser to use. So you can get these in Firefox. In Internet Explorer, it's probably time that you moved on if you're still using Internet Explorer. So you can get these or equivalents to these in Firefox as well. But you're done for if you're still using Internet Explorer. It's really time to move on with your browser if you're still using that. And I would recommend Chrome. So we could get in the Chrome Web Store free tools that we could just add to the Chrome browser that allow us to take and make these screenshots. So we can get a free version of Snagit, and you can see it just there. That's the Snagit extension there. And we would just click, I've already added mine to Chrome, I'm already using it, but you would just click that button, it would say add to Chrome. And then you would instantly be able to take screenshots, sized screenshots of areas on your PC screen. So you can take the full version of Snagit out for a test drive for 15 days via that link, or just grab the Chrome web version there. And also you can see how screenshots work via my tutorial just there. So I know I've got limited time today. I'm really just using this presentation to pique your interest with things that I hope you'll find really useful, but I have done some additional presentations and created some extra content which I hope you'll find useful if you're interested in any of the things that I'm showing you today. You don't have to use Snagit. I actually have a couple of these things attached to my Chrome browser because some of them, they're all good for doing different jobs. So I also use Capture, Explain and Send screenshots, which you can see on the left hand side there. And I also have awesome screenshots attached to my Chrome browser too. They're all free. Those are all free. It's only the Snagit full software that costs. To be honest with you, I use it so much, it's peanuts. It's not a lot in terms of business expense. I can't remember what it costs. It's no more than £30. I think it's about £35 as a one-time cost off the top of my head. And finally, I must mention, because a lot of people will also use this, Jing. Jing is free for life. It's created by the same people who make Snagit, but it's just not as fully featured. It's very, very useful, but it's not as fully featured. But I would really recommend that you use screenshots. And if you've never used screenshots before, then please do just check out my online tutorial, because that'll show you exactly how it works. Don't really have time to go into any detail on that on today's presentation. Okay, we're nearly there, but as all internet marketers do, I've got some bonuses for you. It wouldn't be complete, this presentation, if I didn't show you some additional things in addition to what I promised you at the beginning. So I want to talk you through Google Docs Dictate. Many authors, particularly indie authors, because we're all writing so fast, we're all producing so much content, many authors find that they start to get limb problems, and they get concerned about the amount of writing they're done, and they often have to move into different mouse designs or ergonomic mouse designs, or they have to get keyboards which are specially angled. And often the journey of authors takes them to dictation software, and the dictation software that most indie authors use is something called Dragon Naturally Speaking. You can see it on the screen just there. I haven't used it yet. I'm going to try it at some point, but I haven't had the need for it yet personally. But that costs over £100. And I just wanted to let you know that if you use Google Drive for your documents, which is free, it has a built-in version. If you go to Google Drive and create a new document, so you can see here, it's got the blue logo on it. That's a Google Drive document. Google Drive is free. When you use Google Drive, if you want to try the dictate function, click on Tools and then Voice Typing. And amazingly, at no cost and incredibly accurately, Google Drive will let you dictate directly into it. And you'll see the words that you're speaking, you'll see them on the screen in front of your eyes. It's an amazing tool. It's incredibly accurate. It does take a little bit of getting used to, because when you want to use full stops and start new paragraphs and things like that, you have to give it controls, voice controls, which it recognizes. But it's an amazing tool. If you are thinking about trying Dragon Naturally Speaking, and maybe you're just balking a little bit about the cost of that, or you just perhaps want to try out dictation before you dive into something bigger like Dragon Naturally Speaking to see whether it's for you, to see whether it works for your style of working, then give Google Drive a try, give their free tool a try. I've got to tell you, I've tried it and it's incredibly accurate. It's a very impressive tool. So if you only use it occasionally, it's just nice to know that it's there. Here's the next bonus tool. It's called Free Natural Reader. This is a new one for me, but it's amazing. It's very, very clever. It allows you to cut and paste text in and it will read it back to you. Now, I know that what many editors will recommend that you do is that you read your books aloud. Now, different people have different styles of doing things, and I hate reading aloud. I really do not like reading aloud. It's just something I don't like doing. I'd rather read in my head. That's fine. I'm happy doing something like this, but I don't want to read books aloud. That really doesn't work for me at all. But I do recognise that this is a great way of getting my books read to me without me actually having to do the reading. So it actually reads your book to you, and if you want to really manage your time effectively, you can burn its version to MP3 files so that you can listen to them on a CD in the car when you've got dead time, what's normally dead time, or you can listen to them while you're exercising. So you can really compress your time management here to get the work done. I think it's a tremendous option. Let me show you how this works by just moving across to my screen now. This is the software on my computer, and all I've done is I've just cut and pasted the first act, the first scene from Macbeth. And you'll see up here that we get different speakers. You can actually load different voice types, and I've just loaded a few to play with it here. So David is a default voice type, and if I click the play button...
First which where the place, second which upon the heath, third which there to meet with Macbeth.
And we can change the voice there, so let's try Zira.
Third which there to meet with Macbeth. First which I come, Grey Malkin.
And we can put different voices in there too. We can change the speed of delivery.
First which I come, Grey Malkin. Second which Paddock calls.
I could never keep up with Shakespeare at the best of times. I think we probably need to put that a little bit slower. So we could slow the speed there.
Third which anon. All fair is foul, and foul is fair. Harvard.
Okay, so you get the gist of that. It's not perfect, but you could run that in the car and you'd hear any mistakes, or you could just run it in the background while you were doing some other jobs, rather than you actually having to read it aloud. So again, that's a recent tool that I've discovered, but I think it's a pretty nice thing to use. We're back to the slides. Just to remind you then, the URL for that software, which is free by the way, it's free and paid, but it's what you were seeing there is the free version. It's naturalreaders.com if you think that would be useful to you. Now here's a wonderful tool. This is a real ninja tool if you are selling books on Amazon Kindle at the moment. It's free for everybody learning less than $1,000 per month on KDP. If you are earning $1,000 per month on KDP, you probably don't mind about paying for it. So you can get it at getbookreport.com. And what it does is it allows you to track your sales much more effectively on KDP, and it gives you at-a-glance graphs. I check mine all the time. I check it every morning just to see what sales I've made. I find it best to check it in the morning because I sell a lot in the US, and my US sales are in when I check it first thing in the morning. It's a great tool, and if you have used your KDP dashboard, you'll notice that you do get graphs, but to be honest with you, it's not very user friendly. I look at them for an overview, but it's not very user friendly in terms of boiling things down into book by book by book. Now, these are the kind of graphs that I get from that software. It gives me my best sellers, as you can see in the top left there. I get a nice graphical view of which books are selling most, so I can hold my cursor over each of those panels and see which of the books that I've got are selling best on whichever time period I create. So I could look at it on today, I could look at yesterday, I could look at a day period, a week period, a month period. I can go back 90 days and see what's selling best over a 90-day period, and we can create custom periods as well. So if you've got a promotion on, you can look at your stats for a custom period when your promotion was running, if it was a BookBub or a free Booksy or something like that. I get graphs of my earnings per day, and then also I can boil my stats down to a particular book, what it earned, how many pages were read, how many sales. And if I'm giving it away for free, if I'm using it as a free lead magnet, I can see how many giveaways I got too. Now, I much prefer the book report interface to the KDP interface. It gives me much more data that I need as an author. So I really recommend that you look at that tool. That's it for today's presentation. We are out of time now. I hope that I've managed to give you a taster for lots and lots of useful free tools. And for many of those tools, where they're slightly more technical, I have given you walkthroughs and videos on my blog. So please do check out those links that I've given you throughout the presentation, because you'll find a lot more useful information there. In terms of next steps, if you want to find out more about self-publishing, if you want to get more tips and tricks, this is what I do online. I show you lots of non-geeky tips and tricks, hopefully to help you accelerate what you're doing online. Then you can find out more about me and what I do at selfpublishingacademy.com. And what I would certainly recommend, if you are an indie author, particularly a new or aspiring indie author, please do check out my podcast at selfpublishingjourneys.com, because every week I'm talking to people just like you, people who've gone through the process of publishing their first book. They may have published several books, but they've at least published their first book, and they're beginning to make those sales. So they've got that new indie author experience, and they're sharing all of their marketing tips, their how-to tips, everything they've learned, all their tips and tools. So lots of really useful free information every week at selfpublishingjourneys.com. Finally, for the slides and for more resources and tips and tricks, please go to that link on the screen there. If you click on that link or you navigate to that link, it will redirect you to a resources page. You'll be able to download the slides there. You'll see all of the links that we've discussed in the presentation there, but also I've put lots and lots of useful and great resources there. So my recommendations for independent author podcasts, magazines, websites, there's loads and loads of content on there. It's all free content, as you would expect, but it's really helpful for indie authors. Thank you very much for joining me on the presentation today and staying through to the end. I hope it's been useful to you. And if you want to get in contact, please do connect with me on social media or via my blog. I'd love to hear from you.